Or am I still muted?
Is Nick back?
You're
I'm here.
Hey.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hey.
All right, Nick.
Hey Nick, big fan from Scotland. You know, I've got the merch on and everything.
Nice. Looks good.
Yeah. You know, I had a question. I think I'm probably gonna know what you're gonna say, but it could go to the other people as well. Trump, throughout his presidency, has done a lot of things that are beneficial to Israel, and I want to know, not even in an Israel-Palestine sense, do you think the current state of Israel are being a good ally to the U.S. and the West as a whole?
That's a great question. The answer is definitely no. No, they're not being a good ally, never have been. And, you know, we could go way back on this, and people like to go way back to like the Levant affair or like the USS Liberty, but we could even look at just this administration. I mean, I believe that one of the first press conferences that Donald Trump had with a foreign dignitary was with Benjamin Netanyahu right after the inauguration in 2017. And at that press conference, Donald Trump said, if you could stop with the settlements, like that would be great. And this has been U.S. policy for since the 1967 wars, that Israeli settlements, we don't support them. And Donald Trump said, if you could stop the settlements, like that would be great. And in spite of everything we've given Israel just in the last 3 years, which is moving the embassy and recognizing the Golan Heights, their sovereignty, calling the IRGC a terrorist group. I mean, the list goes on. And not only do they not stop the settlements, they expand them at the most rapid pace in history, the biggest settlement expansion ever, like a week after that press conference. And they bomb Syria, they bomb Iraq, they create these tensions with Syria and Iran. So, I mean, just in the last 3 years, there's the spying scandal on the White House, just treasure trove of things. And that's just recently. So
but do you don't you see it very important that we stay allies with one of the last democracies in the Middle East?
No, I think they should be. Well, and here's to be serious. I think they should be more worried about keeping us as an ally. I mean, why is it incumbent on us to pay them and give more stuff, and there's no responsibility on their end to have any obligations or to be considerate of us? You know, I mean, it's a two-way street.
It should be a two-way street. They have responsibilities. We are the bigger nation. We can support more. Therefore, we can give more. It's not for this like one-for-one deal. And you know, on top of that, keeping that nation a democracy and keeping that nation afloat should be a big investment of ours.
I think they're doing fine. They got one of the best economies in the Middle East, one of the best and most sophisticated militaries in the world. They've got a serious defense industry in Israel, more sophisticated than most.
Their tanks are more advanced than our Abrams.
What's that?
I said no. I mean, you're right. Their tanks, I think, are more technologically advanced than our Abrams are.
They're doing great over there. They don't need our help. And the thing is maybe we could help them, but they just do nothing but slap us in the face. The spying, the constant antagonism of Iran and Syria. I mean, we are just like paying to get abused. At a certain point, you got to rein them in. And we used to try to do that. When Israel was first formed, back in 1948, there were successive presidents that tried to reel them in. You know, Kennedy and Johnson and Nixon and Reagan. I mean, they tried to reel them in. And, you know, they just gave up after a while. The crushing weight of the Israel lobby has made it such that nobody can oppose this state without massive retaliation. And that is not America first.
Hey, Mick, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What part of Scotland are you from?
I live in a place called Falkirk, which is between Edinburgh and Glasgow. It's like the second biggest town, but it's still pretty little now.
No, see, I got a mate over in Edinburgh. And he goes,
Did you say Edinburgh? It's Edinburgh. It's not Edinburgh. And the way you'd say that is, I've got a mate doing Edinburgh. It's not, I've got a mate doing Edinburgh.
He's working on teaching me. I just, you know, we got this whole coronavirus stuff, so he's stuck there. So it's a little rough around
there. Yeah, I've been moderating on Cam's server because I have nothing else to do. It's 20 to 8 in the morning right now. I haven't slept. You know, it's kind of ruining the schedule. But that's the thing, Nick. I'm glad you're being like civil here, because I don't like, you know, neocons or whatever, but, you know, you still got to be civil, because we all come from, you know, libertarianism. It's how we all get here. So we shouldn't always be trying to antagonize people who are more moderate.
I agree. That's a totally, and that's a very sensible take. You look young, and a lot of old people still don't understand this. People that come from our political realm, they come at it with, if you're not 100%, then you're, whatever. So yeah,
we all
you're totally
came here
right.
from Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. We all,
That's even me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear that. Relating to that.
All right. Well, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? It's a yes or no for Nicholas.
Yeah.
So like in past like YouTube videos, you semi-denied the Holocaust. Do you believe the Holocaust happened?
Of course I believe. I've never denied the Holocaust. I make jokes that are edgy, and then people say, "Oh," and this is the case with everything. I've done more than 1,000 hours of content. It's largely a satire comedy show, and people take obvious jokes and play it up. Oh, he's just But I've maintained this consistently that I don't deny that it happened.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I wasn't trying to like play gotcha.
Yeah. No.
Someone sent me a clip, and I just wanted to ask you.
So hey Nick, the question was kind of already asked about Israel, so I mean I'll kind of just branch off of it a little bit. So when it comes to like Middle Eastern policy, do you feel like the US should really kind of like withdraw completely from the Middle East, or do you think we should have some sort of presence there? Kind of just open-ended.
That's a good question. I probably differ from like a lot of the people who watch my show, and I fight with them all the time on this. They want total isolation. I'm a believer that America has interests all over the world, and we should take care of our interests. And if that means having a base or, protecting a trade route, I mean, that's fine. But what we're looking at now is like an occupation of many countries, not just Afghanistan and Iraq, but you've got troops in Yemen, you've got troops in Somalia, you've got troops in Syria, still like a residual force. So they're all over. And I just want the big engagements to end. I want the big wars to end. I don't think war is in our interest in the Middle East, but, I'm not one of these people that'll say, if there's 10 guys in Kuwait, that the president's a neocon. Because some people are like that. They'll say, if we leave a residual force, it's neocon. I mean, I'm a believer that America's a sprawling empire. We have interests around the globe, and we should protect them, but not like this, not two ground wars at the same time, which, the countries that we're going to leave will end up worse than they were before we got there. So that kind of stuff to me is just folly. But to have some presence, I think that's doable.
Yeah, I feel like the political spectrum is almost a circle where I'm almost the opposite end as you, but I almost 100% agree with you on that. So
well,
always able to find common ground.
Totally. That's where you get the Republican and Dem establishments are, they're the ones that are wrong on this.
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't identify with either. I think both parties have their serious issues and corporatism and all that. But yeah, so yeah, I appreciate it.
Awesome question, Oliver. All right, Callie. What's up, Callie?
Hi. I didn't actually expect to get unmuted. Sorry. So I have a question for Nicholas Fuentes. Sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong.
You're good.
So what are your thoughts on Nazi Germany?
What?
Not a fan. Not a fan. Why? Do you think I'm a Nazi? Is that
no? I wanted your specific thoughts on specifically the scientific experiments that German scientists were instructed to do during World War II.
Well, I will say that there is a lot of nonsense floating around there. Like I said, not a denier, but we can all agree that this lampshades and bars of soap business, bunch of bullshit. Okay, I mean, like if you read some of these like diaries or personal accounts, and I don't know if you guys want to look into this, but they make these ridiculous claims. Like there was one claim, and this was, by the way, like the Nuremberg trials. So this is not like I'm pulling this out of my ass. This was in the Nuremberg trials when they're trying the Nazis for war crimes. You had a guy that claimed that they would electrify the floors to kill people. They would electrify the floor. They had people that said that they would use carbon monoxide to kill people by running like gas engines. And like, I mean, the narrative is that it was Zyklon or whatever, but it wasn't carbon monoxide engines. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. They would say that they would be ushered into like death chambers, get haircuts, then get the hair removed to make beds for Germans, move the people out, clean up the rooms, move them back in, then kill them. Like, so, I think there's a lot of stuff that's clearly like, atrocity propaganda. You see this in any war, in any time. There's atrocity propaganda where they try and really make it heavy-handed to guilt people and to, bring down the hammer on the, transgressing country. But obviously I'm against, genocide or human experimentation. I mean, I'm against things that are evil, but I like every Holocaust survivor said that they were experimented on by Mengele. Like every single one, the Nazi doctor. And it's like, definitely he existed and definitely did terrible things, but not every one of them saw that guy. Like, clearly there's some fibbing going on. So I would say that I'm against atrocities. I'm a decent person. I'm Christian. I don't think genocide is good. Murder, state systematic murder. I don't know, not down with that, or experimentation. But I do think, there's a lot of stuff, electric floors, lampshades, that kind of stuff. I think we can all agree that's pretty silly.
So you're telling me you didn't hear about the cloning that they had? He was everywhere. What are you talking about?
On Camino?
Yeah.